Welcome to this episode of Insights on Demand, a thought leadership series sponsored by InsideUp, where we talk to marketing leaders at top technology companies about what they're doing to drive growth in today's economic environment. I'm your host, Grant Bentley, Strategic Account Director at InsideUp, and today our guest is Jake Sorofman, CMO for the Enterprise Workforce Analytics company, Visier. It's great to have you here, Jake.
Good to be here, Grant.
So we got the holidays coming up, so we're all thinking about family and friends. Let's talk about the 2023. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? And how did it go?
It's a good year. We're not done yet. We have an offset fiscal year, so we have a couple months to go. And of course, the holiday in between. But it's been a good year. It's been a challenging year, too. There's a fair amount of weird. As we're all experiencing.
Yeah.
Just the world is on fire, and the world that we live in, there's a lot of sort of elongated sales cycles, more scrutiny applied to the business case, more stakeholders involved. So it's, there's a lot of change. There's a lot to feel really good about and proud about, but also a lot of new and different that we're trying to sort of adapt to within this commercial environment.
So have you always been in the people game? I mean, were you at Visier when the pandemic hit, or did you do kind of some skill transfer?
I was not here. I like to say 3 years ago, I couldn't spell HR. I knew nothing about people analytics or HR for that matter. Still kind of don't. I wear that as a badge of pride. And I'll tell you why. When I joined Visier, one of the things that attracted me to the company is I don't view people analytics as solving an HR problem. I think that is inherently limiting to the potential. It's about solving one of the most consequential business challenges that every company has, which is understanding your people. People represent, in many cases, one of the largest line items on any operating budget, and the single most important lever for driving innovation and change and growth at scale. And you can't manage what you don't measure. So as a leader and a manager, while I'm not in HR, I do want to be effective. I want to make the right decisions for people and for the business. And particularly as a team scales, you can't do that without data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that I've seen a nice ability for former analysts at Gartner to not just write a book, but actually go in and practice what they're preaching in a corporate environment and show that they're not just an ivory tower, but they actually want to work inside of a team. Because it seems like the Gartner analysts, bless their souls, they're all celebrities, but they have this arm's length sort of, relationship with the market they serve, right? Because they have to stand above the fray. And 5 years is actually, that's pretty good longevity in the Gartner world, because that's a, may I say, kind of a, publish or perish sort of world, right?
That's a really good way to describe it. It's very much that. And it actually lent itself to my skill set very, very well. It was an incredibly rewarding experience, and I did very well there. I'm probably better suited for that than what I'm currently doing, to be completely honest. I stumbled into it. So I've always been more of an operator than an analyst, but being an analyst for a while made me a better operator.
Right.
Because I was able to sort of gain perspective and study my profession, the thing I had done for almost 20 years before the Gartner experience, and apply a different lens to it, and then come out with a whole lot more rigor in how I think about the practice of marketing.
It is true, Jake, that the best managers are willing to have awkward conversations, but not necessarily about prescriptive stuff, but about, well, wasn't this what we agreed to? What does they say? Seek to understand before being understood, right? So the way that the lead and that you're able to provide accountability is that, let me see if I understand this. We agreed that we would get this project out last week, and is there a reason why you had to delay it? And in other words, that's an awkward conversation, right? But it's the hallmark of engaged leadership, where you're not just saying, you're supposed to do this and let me show you how to do it. It's more like, we had a goal, we had a plan, and now we have to recalibrate. What are the learnings from this?
I think for me, the four principles of leadership are appreciation and respect, trust and accountability.
Mm-hmm.
They should appreciate the good work and the hard work that people do, and make sure that they're recognized for it and rewarded for it. Trust that they can get the job done because you hired them because they're great at what they do. So don't try to micromanage them and prescribe the answers, because all you do is narrow the universe of possibility. And then accountability is exactly what you said, which is don't pull punches. Like, be a direct and clear communicator, hold people accountable,
Mm-hmm.
set clear goals and expectations. And as long as you're doing those other three, I think you can do the fourth one pretty effectively.
So, what about the folks you mentioned that you'd rather not spend as much time managing up, but you definitely are in a C-suite position, and you've got some pretty strong egos and personalities
Sure.
at that
Yeah.
level. So, even though you have folks in your team that you can kind of, you just mentioned respect and trust and accountability. What's another verb? That relates to dealing with these other highly driven personalities in the C-suite.
Yeah. It's a really, really good point. And it's empathy. So seeking to understand where they're coming from. It's seeking alignment. It's having the humility to not always have to be right, right? Because you can waste a lot of energy in a battle of wills to be the right answer, or win the rhetorical battle for whatever,
Yeah.
and completely miss the bigger picture of what we're driving toward as a business. As long as your interests are aligned and you're willing to apply a degree of humility and empathy to it, I think you can find common ground. Also humor, like, know people as individuals and have fun. Let's just have some fun with it, and that will give people the license to express themselves in ways that I think are more effective.
So, how do you actually come up with your list of account names? Is it in a concert with your sales team? Does it use predictive technology? What sort of things have worked for you?
Yeah, it's kind of all of the above. It is very much in concert with our sales team. It's based on ICP analysis and lookalike targeting and propensity modeling and all the things that you would expect to go into building an effective target list.
You mentioned automation as a way to really improve the operational efficiency of your marketing function.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you decide what areas of the marketing team or the process is ripe for automation? What is your criteria there?
We're always looking for ways to streamline and automate and scale processes. Anything that you can automate, and if there's an available technology that's proven, we're going to be very, very serious about maybe adopting that so we can free up human resource to focus on higher order activities. In the world of HR, they describe this as working at the top of your license. You want to have people that are focused on their highest and most valuable capability. And then you're either delegating or automating the things that are much more routine and much less differentiating, less strategic to the
Mm-hmm.
business. So it's just, we're always in this cycle of looking for ways we can automate and streamline and scale and free up human resource to be more strategic, more creative for the business.
So, Jake, that probably also applies to the use of generative AI and other sorts of AI-driven apps that perhaps are coming your way. It's a way of enhancing the productivity of your people. Is there anything that's come up that you as a CMO need to help train your people on the use of some of these tools?
The good news is I have an incredibly talented and very intellectually curious team. So they're out in front and they're always looking
Mm-hmm.
to experiment with new technologies. So we're already using generative AI and really streamlining and shortcutting a lot of the research cycles that go into our thought leadership and our content creation efforts, doing first drafts, um, creating imagery in support of campaigns. So there's a lot of things that we've been doing for quite a while with generative AI. And there are a lot of things that we're probably not thinking of, or almost certainly not thinking of. And there will definitely be things on a near-term horizon that will probably catch us a little bit off guard because it's evolving extremely fast. So it's more important than ever for us to be really researching and thinking and talking to peers and finding ways to get ahead of where things are going and use it as a competitive edge. But what we're doing today, I'd say, is probably fairly typical of other marketing organizations and how they're using generative AI. What really intrigues me is what might be on some other horizon. You start thinking about what generative AI from an end user perspective means in terms of audience engagement. That could be very, very disruptive to the way that B2B marketers or marketers in general are engaging audiences.
Okay, I have one final question for you, Jake. What would you say is the top 3 things that's top of license for a CMO?
Oh, damn good question. So storytelling and brand narrative. So being able to synthesize lots of inputs and insights, internal and external, to find a narrative that connects the dots and makes the brand and the value proposition come to life in the minds of a buyer. That's number one. Building and leading great teams. So having a nose for talent and being able to inspire people to get the most out of themselves. And then the third is operational rigor, data-driven approaches to proving return on marketing investment. And I'm going to throw in there a fifth, which is the one that I said CMOs over-rotate on, which is managing up. So it's C-level alignment and board-level alignment is part of the picture as well. Because if those stakeholders don't believe, you can't be effective in your role.
That's great. I don't think I've heard it so well articulated in my past interactions. So I do appreciate spending some time with you today and going over, if you will, the CMO's role from a people perspective. It's really been enjoyable. Thank you.
My pleasure, Grant.
Supercharge your sales pipeline with InsideUp. With our in-capture platform driven by predictive AI and our expert team, we deliver pipeline to spend ratios exceeding 7x. Let us be your partner in achieving rapid pipeline growth. Visit www.insideup.com. Let us meet to schedule a meeting.